Hey man, it's the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. You know, we get some cool interviews from time to time, and I'm really excited about this one where we have Chips Enough on the phone with us. What's up, man?
James, it's good to hear your voice. I'm here in ice cold Chicago, keeping warm.
Yeah, man, you guys are getting hammered with the wintertime. I'm over here in New Mexico, and we go from freezing cold days to warm days to freezing cold days. Can't make up its mind. But I'm sitting here listening to Strange Time, brand new record coming out. I still say records. I got an advanced copy, and I got to say right out of the gate, I'm very comfortable with this record. You know, it's an analogy that I can use is the fact that it's like an old piece of clothing, not in a negative way, but you put it on and it envelops you in that comfortableness. The tracks on this record take me back to that reason I fell in love with music. Tell me about it, man.
Nice analogy. Thank you. Basically, I went in the studio and recorded the record analog. In other words, 2-inch tape. You didn't use Pro Tools until the end of the record. Tracked all the instrumentation, basically playing live, all real instruments, no samples, no sequencers, no guys hiding out there. Just me and the people that helped contribute to the record. And all these songs, at one time they were going to be Enough's Enough songs, I thought. I'd have Donnie sing on them because he's got such a beautiful voice. One of the greatest singers I've ever worked with. And still, I put him up there with the best. But then something just told me that maybe I should give it a go. And I had the songs finished. I went in the studio. I bashed them out live. And then I called some of my friends to come in there and help contribute. Most notably, Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. And Dale Bazio from Missing Persons. And I called my buddy Robin Zander, the legendary great lead singer of Cheap Trick, and asked them to participate. And everybody was kind enough to take a little time out of their schedule and work on the record. And it was a labor of love. I was going through a lot of tough times there, just like everybody else. No need to feel sorry for me. There's mothers out there working 2-3 jobs a day. I'm more sympathetic to that. But we're talking about my story, and there's some tough times we were going through with finances and family and health. And this record was almost like serendipity, a moment of clarity for me. Started putting the songs down, played a few of the tracks for a couple of my friends, and everyone was really excited about it. And it certainly wasn't trying to compete with my band Enough's Enough. I was just trying to make a record that made me feel good, and maybe other people would dig it as well.
That translates all throughout the record. I noticed the warmthness of it. You know, it's not, there's no cold sterility, you know, perfectly recorded. The thing I dig about records is when you can feel the heart and soul that went into the music, which is why I, like I said, fell in love with music. I definitely feel the warmth, the emotion, the charge in this record. It definitely worked. It came through.
Well, I appreciate hearing that. When I did the record, when I was recording it, the more I got into it, the more I've seen that something special was happening, at least for me. And it was, like I said, a labor of love. I was really writing the record for myself just to get these songs out and clear my own conscience. And as I got into it deeper, I realized, there might be an audience for this record. And, it took quite a long time. I recorded the songs. Late at nighttime, I'd sneak into the recording studio because it's so expensive to go in these big studios. That's why you got a lot of the bands that are out there right now recording in their bedrooms and front rooms because, and quite frankly, it's much cheaper. But I knew that I didn't want to cut any corners. I really wanted the record sonically to sound strong. And I took my time. Although it was late at nighttime, I went in there and I bashed all these songs out. And most of the songs are in 1 or 2 takes. We didn't have a lot of time, but they were very well rehearsed. And I think we came up with something that was a little interesting, to say the least. I don't want to sound modest, but I had something that was quite different than anything I've done before. And I've probably worked on 70 or 80 records up to this point. Gotten a chance to record and work with some of the greatest bands, Journey, guys in Journey, and Billy Corrigan, and guys from Cheap Trick, and the list goes on of cats I've got a chance to record with: Kanye West, Malik Yosef, twist. So I've really mixed it up with hip hop, rap, rock. I'm trying to do it all because I just didn't want to be a one trick pony and just be known as a guy who just writes rock songs. I came out of the box back in 1989 when Enough Snuff was discovered, and everybody said, okay, when a couple of the songs were hits, and like New Thing and Fly Michelle, everybody goes, oh, these guys are metal. And I got tagged with that metal thing. And I'm grateful anybody knows who I am at all. Okay, I'm not downplaying that, but I know that there was a lot more to say there, and I play all kinds of different music. My family had a vast vocabulary. My mother and father listened to all kinds of different stuff from the early days, from Sly and the Family Stone and Stevie Wonder down to Black Sabbath and Rare Earth and Captain Beyond. There's a lot of crazy different music in my family's vocabulary. And you are what you eat. And from listening to all those records, along with Beatles and Queen and Led Zeppelin, I developed a style. But it wasn't just one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to spread my wings and show different parts of what I can do. And I think on this record, I partly captured that. At least I'd like to believe it. And the songs will stand the test of time, I would think. It's a great sounding record, wonderful contributions with great musicians playing with me. And I'm very grateful to have this record, to get a chance to put it out there. And it's the first of maybe there'll be another one in the future. And I just, only time will tell what's going to happen. I can't predict the future. I can tell you this, though. I'm writing songs all the time, and there's a lot of material out there that I would like to finish and be able to have a chance to get in people's hands.
Nice. I'm really glad to hear that, someone like yourself is embracing the entire scope of music they grew up listening to. If we keep people that are pigeonholed, that I only listen to metal, well, then that's all they're going to ever sound like. I myself grew up in a very diverse musical household, from Statler Brothers all the way to, like you said, Sly and the Family Stone, just across the board. And I take it all in. If music is made from the heart, if you're actually making your art with it, that's a good thing.
And it's tough for all those artists out there, too, as well, that are putting records out, because we're at a time right now where there's too much product, not enough demand. There's so many bands out there, so much music, it's really hard to pinpoint what stands out. And usually everybody says that, well, record companies and management companies, they're all have one common denominator, and that's the next big hit song. But there's so many tunes out there, and everybody's pillaging off each other. It's a very narrow scope to really pinpoint what's going to be successful and what isn't. But if you can get your music out to anybody, and for any bands out there that work there, if they can get movies or soundtracks or TV shows or commercials, they get songs out there and help brand their tunes, that's going to help tons. And I'd like to see this record get enough chance to where it gets in somebody's hands where they can use it for where it's beneficial to them. And the movie soundtrack, TV commercial thing is really happening right now. And more than anything, I'd like to be able to get a song out there where there's a little bit of action happening, where I can actually take the band and put it on the road and go out and do some shows.
Nice. That'd be great to see. This record that you made, I believe that it stands out. Another person I interviewed coined the phrase to me, fast food music. There's a lot of people out there that are just trying to make that hit record. They're trying to put that formula together instead of making the music that they feel inside. They have that design, and that's unfortunately filling the masses out there with a lot of stuff. And it takes a little bit of digging to find the gems there. And this one here, fell in my lap, and it is a gem. I got to say that, not just because I got you on the phone, but we put the CD on, we're here and we're listening to it, and we put it on repeat. We put it on repeat, and it's there, man. It's there.
That makes me feel good to hear that. I from your lips to God's ears, I hope it reaches an audience out there that goes, well, this is something that I can listen to, and it makes me feel good. And there's a lot of influences on that record. But for the most part, when you put it on and listen to it, you don't see smoke machines and people shaking their asses and a bunch of lights and stuff. It's just the songs that you're going to listen to. And I would hope that people would get a chance to hear this record and go, wow, with all these players that are on here, this is something that I can sink my teeth into. And nothing makes me more excited about the record than the chance to go out and tour. I got a great record company, Cleopatra Records, too, and a lot of artists don't really talk about their labels, but I got a record company. These guys are hustling. They got publicists, and they put together a nice street team, and there's a marketing campaign. I only wish all artists that are making records will get a chance to experience this, because it certainly makes the run a lot more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Cleopatra's been good with me, getting the information out to me with various bands that work with them and stuff. And again, I got to say kudos to those guys for getting me this record out. And in touching with you, hitting the road with this, one of the things that I feel about a record that makes it for me is if you can take those songs, sit down acoustically, unplug, and play those tracks, that's real music.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that last John Lennon record that he made, Jack Douglas got a bunch of demos from Lennon, and he just gave him some cassette tapes that he had when he was on the road of just him playing all those songs on acoustic guitar. And then John Lennon went to Jack and said, well, yeah, what do you think of what I sent you? And Jack says, I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't touch these. They're fantastic. And John goes, well, I like to have a band behind me. I like to have some musicians playing. I want to put some drums on it. And, of course, they went in there and they made that final Lennon record, and it was brilliant. But the reason I brought it up is because those songs, Jack probably may not have time if he heard those songs and they weren't happening, but every single song was so great. And it was just John and an acoustic guitar or John and the piano, and that was it. No accompaniment whatsoever of anything else. And they were strong, and that's how I wrote these songs. Every single one of these tunes were written on an acoustic guitar. And there was something that was there. It was exciting, and that's how I showed the musicians when I went in the studio and played these songs. I just sat down with an acoustic and a click track, a little metronome, and just played the songs, and everybody goes, okay, cool. And I said, here's what I want. And I let the guys pretty much do what they wanted to do. Of course, I had ideas, but I wanted them simplistic. I didn't want a lot of useless piece of information. I just wanted the song to be able to come off in the story to be understood. And I hope I nailed it.
You did, man. You did. And, I was excited to see not only your name on there, but the fact, like you said, you had Mr. Bozio, you had I see Trent Reznor in the credits, Robin Zander, Stephen Adler.
A friend of mine gave me a demo tape of a song that Trent Reznor had that wasn't released, and it was just music. That's all it was, and it inspired me so much that I basically took that, did it my own way, of course, and I said I got to give Trent credit on this, because if it wasn't for him, this song would have never even came to life. And it happens to be the title track of the record, Strange Time. And I didn't pick it to be that way. Brian Pereira, the president of Cleopatra, said, I think this is the track we go with. I think we should name the record Strange Time. And when you got anybody behind you that believes in what you're doing, you really want to listen to them. And I took his advice. But that's a strong track because it deals with what's happening in the world right now. And it talks about not only our government, but racism and family life and how tough it is out there. And I think I've nailed it in 4 minutes.
Yeah, you did. It's that's definitely one of the standout tracks on there. And then, not only were we lucky to get these tracks, you attached an EP on there too. I mean, how cool is that? Tell me about that, man.
Well, I had Steven staying over at my house. By the way, he's been sober and straight for over a year. He's really doing terrific right now. He's got a band called Adler that'll be going out and touring on 2015. He's got his artwork that he's putting out. He's got a beautiful art show. He's a very good artist. He's not a one-trick pony. But he was living at the house here with me in Blue Island, Illinois. And he's staying here for about 5 weeks. And during that time, I'd have him play drums on stuff. So he's the catalyst of those songs. He came up with some incendiary drumming. I wrote the songs around his drums. I got to be honest with you. That's how inspired I was. And in the 5 weeks that we were here in Blue Island, we recorded 6 songs. And sometimes he'd just go on the drums and just start playing beats and just checking the drums out for these sessions, because I produce records out here in Chicago, help a lot of bands out. And right before the band was in the studio, I'd have him get in there and play some drums. And every time he tested the kit, I'd be recording. And at the end of it all, we had these great songs that we thought, yeah, we got to put these out there. We got to get people to hear these songs. But at the time, his management company said it wasn't a good idea to put that record out, that he was focusing on his other stuff. So I held on to it until this time when the record company called me and said, well, what do you have? And I said, I got a solo record. And they said, send it to us. Let's hear it. And I sent them the record, and they were blown away. They said, well, we love this stuff. What are you going to do with it? I said, I'd love to put it out there, and I'd like to go out and support the tour. And they said, will Adler be on the tour with you? I said, probably not. Steven Adler. If he fell off his wall, he'd break his neck 3 times. He doesn't need to go out and tour and play clubs. However, I'm hungry to play. It's me singing. It's my songs. I'd love to go out there. And by the way, Adler is a co-writer on all these songs, every single one of them. Without his fantastic contribution of drumming and percussion, they wouldn't have these songs. He was the inspiration behind it. And it was good while I was here, too, because it helped clear him up a little bit and keep him away from all the bad stuff that's out there. And my house is a pretty normal pad with a recording studio in one of the bedrooms. I have all the outboard gear is upstairs, and then downstairs I have all the amps and drums and everything, and I run a snake up to the first floor. And I'm lucky enough to have a nice little pad here with not a lot of neighbors around me. I got a big field next to my house. And I was able to take time out and really work on these songs with my engineer, Rob Posen, who's worked with some fantastic bands, hip-hop and rock bands. And we really took our time, and I think we come up with a nice EP. And the last song co-written by Paul McCartney, which is fantastic, because I'm a huge Beatle fan. And then we waited until there was somebody out there that was interested in putting the record out. And one door closes and 3 doors open. That's how life is.
Right.
Luck is the resin of design. And after a little time, we were actually able to find a home for a record. And now the hard work starts. And that means going out there and making sure the band's together, going out and supporting these songs and maybe doing a tour. And that's what I'm real excited about. That's the challenge right there. The record, there was a challenge there, but it wasn't as hard as what's going to be coming up for us. And that is take these songs to the street.
Yeah, but I've seen you on stage with Enough's Enough before, and I could see the joy in your stage presence and in your eyes, and you belong on stage, and I feel that you're perfectly at home on stage, and I think that it's safe to assume you've got that fire to get out there and look into the crowd and play to them.
Absolutely. There's nothing like it. I've been doing this for a long time. As a matter of fact, I got to tell you, I just got called from the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp out in Las Vegas, and they want me to be a counselor with Cheap Trick and who is it, Cloister Cult, coming up at the end of February. So slowly but surely, some things start opening up, and everybody's out, who's ever out there, any musicians that are working out there, they're doing this they want to do it for real. You got to want it 24 hours a day. Don't give up, because your commitment goes a long way. You do the hard work, and Grandpa used to say to me, son, do the hard work and the money will follow. I wasn't doing it for the money here. I'm doing it because it's a labor of love, and I hail playing music and making records. And when it's all said and done, I'll be a guy that's known that I've dedicated my life to my music.
You did it the best you could. I'm so glad that bands like yourself, and I'm starting to see a circle come back around where a lot of people are realizing the fact that they can go back to making the music that they love and put it out. And there's a lot of projects that are starting to pop up like that, including the Chips Enough solo record. So I'm glad to see the tide turning, and now it's up to us, independent journalists, to spread that word, because we've lost corporate radio to the big corporations in the same eternal track list loop, you know, and it's up to us to put these songs out and spread the word.
Yeah, the music lovers are still out there. If there wasn't an audience out there, people would be making music, and that's every style of music. So there's an audience out there. It's just a matter of how you're going to reach them. And social media can reach a lot of people quite quickly. But the proof is in the pudding. You still got to go out there. You still got to hustle. You got to make things happen. And for all the bands that are out there, even the biggest bands out there, the biggest challenge is coming up with some songs. You don't know when you're going to run out. It's, you know, when someone goes, oh, them guys, it's over with. They don't have any songs. Well, they've already written 15 hits. How many they got to write? And people remember those hits
right.
because the corporate radio, just all they do is play those same songs over and over and over. And you want a hit song in this world? Well, it's called repetition. You got to have your song played over and over, and then people will pay attention to it. And that's the hardest part for any artist, is writing a song and then finding a home for it, finding a place where people are going to embrace it. That's the challenge in itself, and that's very difficult. And I wish all the artists out there nothing but success, because I know how difficult it is. I know what it's like to be on top, and I know what it's like to not be.
Absolutely. Well, this is going out.
Sometimes when you're not doing as well, those when the great songs happen. When you're going through tough times, that's when the best songs come out.
Nice. Yep. True. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is going out. I have readers in 170 countries. Readers, listeners, viewers. They hit my site up from all over the globe. The floor is yours right now, Chip. Tell the world what you want to tell them about this.
Well, I'd like you, if you hear this record, I hope it takes you to a place where it gets you away from the regular run-of-the-mill winding and grinding of life, and it give you an hour of serendipity, a moment of clarity, where you can hear these songs and they take you somewhere else. And for anybody that's out there that's listening to, support your favorite bands. And may the best thing that happened to you last year be the worst thing that happens to you this year. That's my motto for 2015.
Nice. Again, this is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. Chip's Enough, Strange Days. This record, you put it on and just let it go, man. It'll take you away. That's right out of from me. And, you know, I listen to a lot of music, and, you know, a lot of times I put a CD on, listen to it, it's good, and put it away. This one's going to remain in rotation because it's definitely that good. This is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. Chip's Enough. We're out.